we are starting our module on decimals, and I want to go over a couple of things with you about decimals before we get started. So decimals are just like fractions. We've been working on fractions for a month now, and decimals and fractions are actually very similar because they all show a part of a whole. So I could represent this model and write 1/4. I can also convert that to a decimal and write 25 hundredths because 25 hundredths is equal to 1/4. So when we switch over to decimals, I want you to be thinking about what we just did with fractions because they're actually the same. They're just written differently. So in 5th grade, we take fractions out to, decimals out to the thousandths place. So if you see a number like this, you're going to notice there's 3 decimal place value spots after the decimal. So the first one here are tenths, and then hundredths, and this is the thousandths. And this, of course, is the ones place. Notice we go ones, tenths, hundredths, thousandths. I have a lot of students that try to say that this is the once place. There is no once place, and it's hard to say. So ones, tenths, hundredths, thousandths. So when you're looking at these place value spots and think about what they mean, what is a tenth and what is a hundredth, I want you to think about money. If you think about money, when you think about decimals, it makes a whole lot more sense. Most kids like money. You understand that this is a dollar. If I write a dollar, I'm going to write 1.00. And everybody agrees that this is just $1. $1 represents one whole. And I can split this up into smaller pieces. So after the ones place, if I move to the tenths, I want you to think about dimes. Dimes represent 1/10 of a dollar. So if I have 3 dimes, this is equal to 3/10 of a dollar. If I wrote that amount down, I would write 0.30 for 30 cents. This is 3/10 of a dollar, or I could say 30 hundredths of a dollar. Each dime is worth 1/10 of a dollar. When you're working with hundredths, I want you to think about pennies. Pennies are all worth 1/100th of a dollar because it takes 100 pennies to equal a dollar and 10 dimes to equal a dollar. That's how you can think about them. So when you think about tenths, think about dimes, hundredths, think about pennies, because pennies, if I put this back out, 3 cents is written differently than this. 3 cents is written 0.03 to show 3 pennies is 3/100ths of a dollar. So these are my pennies, they're my hundredths. So a lot of times when we get to thousandths, you guys have a hard time understanding what a thousandth is. if I take this penny and I took a laser and sliced it into 10 tiny pieces, I'm going to draw a penny to represent this so you can see. Pretend they're even. So if I took this penny and I took a laser to it and I chopped it up into 10 tiny pieces and I gave you one piece, I call it penny pie. It's not worth anything, really. It is only worth 1/1000th of a dollar, because 1 cent is 1/100th of a dollar. If I chop that one into tinier pieces, one piece of the penny would be 1/1000th of a dollar. 1/1000th can be written this way, or it can be written this way. So you see how fractions and decimals are the same. So when you think about thousandths, we're talking about tiny, tiny amounts. You wouldn't get happy about getting 1/1000th of a dollar for your birthday. This is a teeny tiny amount. It's a penny cut up into 10 little slivers, and you only get one little sliver of penny pie. So that is how you look at the place value spots. And then we look at something with the value. If you see a question about value, you have to kind of shift gears. What is the value? If it asks you the value of a digit, it's looking at the value of that particular number. So this is 4 and 274 thousandths. If I want the value of this 7, it is going to be 7 hundredths or 7 hundredths written that way. If I want the value of this 2 here, it's going to be 2 tenths or 2 tenths here. So when you're looking at value, it's the value of the digit, not the place value spot. It's different. Also, when you look at the relationship and how it increases, if I put 3s in every place value spot, every time I move to the left, the value is 10 times bigger. The 3 in the tenths place is 10 times bigger than the 3 in the hundredths. The 3 in the ones place is 10 times bigger than the 3 in the tenths place. When you move to the right, you're getting 10 times bigger. If you move to the left, it's getting smaller. If I move this way, this is 1/10 of the previous place value spot. So you'll see times 1/10. Sometimes you'll see divided by 10. They mean the same things, and you know this because we just did this. If I move from tenths to hundredths, I'm 1/10 the size or 10 times smaller. If I move from hundredths to thousandths, I'm 1/10 smaller. So when you're moving to the left, you're getting smaller. You're wanting to do times 1/10 or divide by 10. We'll do the same thing. This way, we're getting bigger. If your birthday present is 10 times what it is last year, your check just got bigger. That's getting bigger. This is getting smaller. So make sure that you understand as you move through the place value spots, you're getting bigger as you go to the right, and you're getting smaller as you're going to the left. So if I wanted to show you this number, 5 tenths, and this number, 5 hundredths, I could say 5 tenths is 10 times 5 hundredths. I could also say 5/100 is 1/10 the value of 5/10. You can go either way, but you need to know this one is smaller than this one and how to write the statements correctly.